Your money line is a vertical line that starts down almost at the end of the headline, and it goes up towards the mercury finger. Each line is an income. So I get two incomes, two lines in your 20s and 30s. Then that crosses over the heart line at about age 45. Then I get 3 lines in your early 40s, and then I get 2 lines in your late 40s, and then I get 3 lines again in your 50s, and then I get just 1 line in your 60s and 70s. Pretty good money line. It doesn't ever just stop. It looks pretty good. Okay, underneath that mercury finger, this is your marriages and your children. See where the flirt lines are at the end of the heart line there. Yours are very good, by the way. Those little tassels on the end of the heart line. That means you interact well with people. I just put flirt lines. And then that section in between the flirt lines and the ring around the mercury finger, that's your marriages will show coming horizontally from the outside of the hand towards the palm. And the children lines will show vertically down from the ring around the mercury finger. Let's do the children lines first here. 3 children lines. Oh, aren't you the one that's pregnant? You are. You're pregnant, huh? Looking for a new job. You're going to have another job here right shortly. I just see the 3 children lines. Now, on those children lines, you read from the inside out. That will be your first child. Then your second child, reading towards the outside of your hand. And then that last child, that might be a boy. The line's a little bit lighter. Male lines are a little bit lighter because the men have the XY genes, and the women have XX, which is a little bit stronger. But the XY is a little bit weaker than the women, so sometimes the males have a little bit lighter line in there, but that's not a guarantee that that's a boy. Okay, I see 2 marriages in your hand. Now, counting up from the flirt lines. The first third of that section is about age 20, 30. The next third's about 40, 50. The last third's about 60, 70, 80. So, starting at the flirt lines, going up. First marriage lines, good color, but it's a little bit rocky at first, because I get a little bit of a line in there that starts and then it kind of hooks onto the marriage line. But it's fairly long marriage. But you have to understand that women outlast men. Generally, men die 6 to 8 years before the women do, because they have weaker genes. They have the XY and the women have the XX. 6 to 8 years usually. Women end up as widows. That's why we've got so many widows running around. Good color. And then that second marriage is just a little tiny short one. Way late in your life, and it's really short. Only about 10 years or so. This is your guardian angels. This is who your guardian angels are. And then I read if you've ever had a visit from a guardian angel. Now, on your left hand only, you'll have the lines that come up from the bottom of that lifeline, and they touch on the bottom of that lifeline at the age you were when someone that you have bonded to has passed away. Someone like your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, your aunties, uncles, cousins, old boyfriends, old girlfriends. When they die, then they become a guardian angel to you, and that'll show the age you were when they passed away. Now, this is in your left hand only. So, in purple. Oh, and then it makes a little tiny line that goes right across both those lines. Here's the age you were when you had a loved one die. Age 11, at 14, and 20 makes a line on the inside of that lifeline. Whoever that is staying with you for a long time. Your age of 20, 21, 25, and 32. Now that's on your left hand. Now on your right hand only. This is a visit from a guardian angel. So if you've had an operation or an accident, or if you've been really sick, or you've gotten hurt, or you're in distress, that'll make a little, you'll generally have a little visit from a guardian angel. Or if you've had a loved one that just died, their spirits will sometimes go visit their loved ones before that spirit goes off in towards the light. And then it shows as a little visit from a guardian angel. So sometimes you'll get the same number on that line in your right hand as you do in your left hand. Here is your little visits from guardian angels. At age 14, see, that's where you lost somebody. At 19, at 21, and then 21, that left quite a long line in your hand on the inside of your lifeline, running parallel to the lifeline. And 25, again, someone you've lost, a loved one you've lost, and it makes quite a long line in the inside of that lifeline. Okay, upper left-hand corner of your chart, your achievement lines. These are lines that come off the top of the lifeline, and they point towards the Jupiter finger, or they go straight up. Now, if they're real long, or if they're kind of thick and they got a lot of color in them, then they're extra good achievements. So I've circled them. I've circled the extra good achievements. Okay, starting on that lifeline between the thumb and the Jupiter finger, every eighth of an inch is about a year, about every half an inch is about 7 years. So I just count that down with my pencil. Here's your achievement lines. 13, 14, circled at 18, 20, 22, 28, 38, 39, 44, 48, circled at 49, circled at 53. All your 50s are going to be good to you. Circled at 53, circled at 55, circled at 57, circled at 59, and circled at 60. 62, circled at 64, double circled at 66, 67, double circled at 69, and double circled at 72. Okay, let's do your heart line. 2 things you see on that heart line. That's going to tell you about your emotions and your heart health. And that line comes down from in between the Jupiter and Saturn fingers, and it should make a nice little curve in the top part of the hand there, in the top part of the palm, and then go off to the flirt lines on the side of the hand. Yours is a little bit straight. That means you're kind of tough emotionally. It means you've been hurt a little bit. Probably a physical injury, or you could have been hurt emotionally too. When that gets a little bit straight, you're kind of tough emotionally. Your heart health looks good. Look up there in the upper left-hand corner of your chart where it says lines of energy. Run your finger down where it says island, I-S-L-A-N-D. You don't want to see those little islands, the ovals or the little triangle-y things or the circles. In any of your lines, it breaks the energy of the line. I don't see any of those on your heart line. Your heart health looks good. Now, that line where it starts, the heart line where it starts, it's got a little fork on it when it starts. And when you get that little fork, you shouldn't have that extra line that makes that fork. That's generally some hormone problems. Oh, well, you're pregnant. Hello. But it means you're kind of out of place in your back. Just kind of down there at the base of the cervical. The length of your fingers are your talents. Everyone has talents. No one gets cheated. So long fingers mean one thing, short fingers mean another thing. Nothing's good or bad. Look down there in the lower right-hand corner of your chart where it says palm shapes. The shape of your palm is probably your most important talent. And you have got, you got kind of an athletic palm. It's a little bit squarish, kind of straight on the side. Athletic and practical. Look in your upper right-hand corner of your chart where it says types of fingertips. This is your personality. You have got 1 spatulate finger. I only do 5 on the right hand. You got 1 spatulate finger. Intense, dramatic, energetic, adventuresome actors and actresses have these fingers. Then you've got 4 round fingers, intuitive, quick, very compassionate. Generally people in the health field that have those. compassionate fingers. The thumbs, now we're going to do your talents with the length of your fingers. The thumb's kind of long. That means you will do well in life. Good manual dexterity. You hold tools and instruments well. You work well with your hands. Then you got on that Jupiter finger, your index finger. Let me explain the names on these fingers. Palmistry is about 2,000 or 3,000 years old, and they went through and they named all the fingers and all the different areas of the palm. Generally, they named them with names of Greek gods or goddesses or astrological names. So that index finger is the Jupiter finger. The middle finger is the Saturn finger. The ring finger is the Sun, sometimes called the Apollo finger. And the little finger is the Mercury finger. Then that section between the heart line and the head line is the Mars area. And right below the thumb, that is called the Mount of Venus. Venus, goddess of love. That's because that's where your sexual libido shows. And by the way, that also is going to tell you if you're drinking enough water, if you're well hydrated. You're slightly dehydrated. I'm picking up some little wrinkles or creases in there. Need to drink more water, at least 32 ounces a day to stay hydrated. And then that area should puff right up. You want that so fat that you can't even hardly pick the skin up on it. Okay, now we're back down to that Jupiter finger, the index finger. That's a little bit short. Self-motivated worker. You work very well on your own. You don't have to have anyone tell you what to do. Let's see, what do you do? Aren't you a secretary? Yeah. A good business finger. Nice, long business finger. Good business sense. You know how to make money. And then that's your Saturn finger, your Sun finger. It's just average. That finger needs to come up to about halfway on that top joint on that Saturn finger. And it just barely gets up there. So you got both qualities, long and short. Creative, imaginative, inventive, abstract thinking. And then the short is practical, systematic, and organized. So you have both of those qualities. This is your best talent. Long little finger. That is the writer's finger. It means you work well with words and letters. You're very scholarly. Oh, how old are you? Have you been to school yet? You ought to take a writing course. I see those long little fingers on all the writers. All right, we're down to the headline. That headline should go right straight across your palm. That's your head and your spine line. And it goes over and then it dips clear down into that Mount of Luna area. That's a depression line when it dips like that. And that's because you're out of place in that spine that's causing depression. About straight across your head. It goes across pretty good and then it drops. So it's a fairly smart line until it drops into that depression line. If you got any of those little island things on it, that is going to tell you about your spine. Find your chart that says Understanding Your Cervical Spine. Look at the bottom of that chart, and there's a picture of a vertebrae. The vertebrae is what's stacked up, the bony process is stacked up on your spine there. And off of each side of each one of those little vertebrae, a nerve comes off your spinal cord. And of course, your spinal cord runs your whole body. So a nerve comes off of each side of each one of those vertebrae. And those nerves go out into your body, your head, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your throat, your stomach, your lungs, your heart, your spleen. Those nerves end up in your hands and your feet. And the ones from the very top part of that spine end up in the roof of your mouth, the ones that sit underneath your skull. So find your chart that says Chart of Effects of Spinal Misalignments. I'm not telling you this because I'm just a hand palm reader. I've got a master's degree in health education. When I was finishing my master's degree, I was in college when I was in my 40s. I'm an old school teacher. I started reading these palmistry books while I'm doing this health education stuff, and it all fit together so well. And then I found this old book written by a medical doctor, Dr. Eugene Scheinman, and he explained how the spine shows in the hand on that head and spine line. And it all made sense, because everything I was learning in college in health education was fitting together with these, with all these marks, these lines in the hands. So wherever you got those little islandy marks, that's where you're out of place in your spine. Now that chart of effects of spinal misalignments, see the spine on the left-hand side. The next column is the name of the vertebrae, the cervical, the thoracic, the lumbar, and the tailbone. And the next column is the areas. That's the areas of your body that the nerves go to when they exit that, when they come off that vertebrae. And the next column says effects. That's the effects that you get if that vertebrae is damaged or injured or turned out of place. If it turns out of place, it's sitting right on that nerve. And those nerves, of course, go out into the body, the inner mesh of the muscles, and you get a pain signal through that nerve, and then it intermeshes with the muscle, and the muscle gets a muscle spasm. Then it holds those vertebrae out of place. So see where I've circled in the red? That's where you're out of place in the spine. Underneath that Jupiter finger are your cervical vertebrae, 1 through 7 cervical. And underneath the Saturn finger is your 1 through 12 thoracic. And underneath the Sun finger is the 1 through 5 lumbar. And under that Mercury finger is your tailbone. Look right underneath that finger and see if you got little red markings, little red islands. I don't think you're out at that atlas and axis. You might be, but I don't think so. That's the two vertebrae, that's 1C, 2C. And they sit up underneath the skull. Here's how you check that. Stand up straight and turn your head to the left. See if you can get your chin over your left shoulder. And then turn your head to the right and see if you can get over your right shoulder. And if that pulls in your spine, or if you can't get your chin across that shoulder, yes, you're out of place in that atlas and axis. And that's the two that sit underneath the skull. If so, you're going to have to see a cranial sacrochiropractor. But you sure got one there that starts at about the 3 cervical, goes all the way down to 7 cervical, and then underneath that Saturn finger, you're all out in through that thoracic area. Clear down there to about 8 or 9 T. And that's what's causing your hormone problems. That line that splits right there on your heart line. That where the heart line starts, where I've got that little black asterisk says some hormone problems. That's because you're out of place in that spine. Well, if you're really pregnant, you can't have a chiropractor straighten you up. If you're not terribly pregnant, go get your spine straightened up first, because it's sure a lot easier to carry a baby when your spine's in alignment. Then you're out through that Saturn finger, down there where I've got that marked. If you're out of place at the top part of that spine, it's going to throw you out the opposite way in your lower spine. And you've got a little triangle-y thing right underneath that Sun finger in your lumbar area. That's where your female organs are. That's where you're carrying that baby. So if you're only about 3 months pregnant or so, go get your spine straightened up before you have that baby. That's making a stress mark there in that health line. Look where underneath where it says depression. See that health line? It hooks onto the fate line, or at least it kind of goes down to the fate line, but it goes vertical up towards the Mercury finger on a slant. That's your internal organs. That's your colon, your spleen, your liver, your stomach. And you want to see one clean line. You got 3 or 4 lines in there. It's kind of strange, and a couple of the lines are broken. That means you got some stress in those internal organs. This is an example of your career and your lifestyle. The line starts down at the base of your palm. It goes up to the Saturn finger only. When it hits that headline, that's age 40. When it hits that heart line, that's 50. When it hits that line around the Saturn finger, that's 80. Every time that line breaks, it's a change in your career or your lifestyle. Usually both. So your line is private. It starts down the middle of your hand. Here's a little sometimes you get a little fork off the side of that line. It's a minor change. At 23 was kind of a minor change. 29 was a big change. There's several little lines all through there at 29. Did you change jobs or something? See, what year? 33. And then age 36 is a change. And then age 40 to 53 is 4 lines. 4 jobs, 4 different jobs going on at the same time. And then that's crossed over, let's see, that crosses over at 50 there, over that heart line. And then you get 2 lines up to age 70. And then I get 1 line up to 80. That line goes to the left of the Saturn finger. See, I've got a little asterisk there. Down at the bottom of the page it says, fate line goes to the left of Saturn finger, means the spine is jammed. We already knew that. And then that line, then you get it moves over and you get a line there at 80 that goes up into the finger to 89. You're going to live till you're 89 years old. Oh, you got some lucky signs in here. Off to the left-hand side of that Mercury finger, see the little triangles? You got a lucky sign in, I think that's in your lifeline, from 23 to 26. And then you got one, on that fate line, you got a lucky sign from age 36 to 39. About a 3-year period then. It's just a positive time in your life.